how he pulls it off exactly. And you kind of get at that in this book. How does he extract all that money? How does he hide all that money? How does it work for him?
Well, my story is all about one crime,
right.
But you multiply that one crime by 1,000, and that's where you get to these enormous numbers. And basically, you know, in America, if you go into government service, you're there to serve the people of your country. In Russia, if you go into government service, you're there to steal as much money from your division, your department, whatever. So it's kind of like The Sopranos. If you're the Minister of Finance or the Minister of Energy, it's like being the New Jersey Mafia or the Philadelphia Mafia. You take your cut and then you pass it up to the Mafia boss. And so when people pay their taxes, the taxes go into the government and then it gets stolen from the government. They build a pipeline, you know, 80% of the money build a pipeline goes into the pockets of government officials. And here's the great one, is that when they spend money on military, that money gets stolen. When you want to know why they're doing so badly in Ukraine, because 80% of the money is stolen from the military. They're selling the gasoline out of the tanks, so they sputter out and can't even go.
You know, you just mentioned a couple of minutes ago that we would bump into people at cocktail parties here in the West, in New York City or wherever, in Chicago, and that they were, in their own way, working for Russia.
Yep.
What are the mechanics of this? How are they working for Russia? Is it involved with money? Obviously must be. What are the mechanics of this? And the second question to you, in terms of what you've just been telling us, both here today and prior to many appearances, is your life in danger right now from the Russians?
Let me answer the second question first. So the answer is yes. They've been after me for 12 years since the murder of Sergei Magnitsky. And the only reason I'm still here today is because Putin always kept one foot in the civilized world and one foot in the criminal world. And so killing me would have basically had put both feet in the criminal world. And he always wanted to have all these like heads of state treating him like a legitimate person. He wanted to go to the G20 summit. He wanted to attend the Olympics. And he couldn't do that if he killed me. Now he's put both feet in the criminal world, and everything is open. Now, the mechanics of how these Westerners do this stuff is that oligarchs who are working for Putin employ lawyers, PR firms, investigation agencies, bankers, etc., to do the Russian government's bidding. And in my book, I go into great detail, and people, when they read my book, are shocked to find that these, you know, supposedly upstanding American citizens are basically working as arms of Russian intelligence in the United States for money.
So Donald Trump, as we know, often had kind words for Vladimir Putin. And in their Helsinki summit, Putin asked Trump to hand you over to Russian authorities, and Trump seriously considered it. Tell us that story and why he was prevented from doing so.
Well, so Putin has been hating me ever since the Magnitsky Act was passed. He's been trying to get me handed over. He's been not successful. They were at this summit, and it was right after Robert Mueller had indicted these 12 Russian military intelligence officers for hacking the U.S. election. And so one of the journalists at the press conference said to Putin, "Are you going to hand over these 12 Russian military intelligence officers?" And surprisingly, Putin said, "Yeah, I'll do so if Donald Trump hands over Bill Browder." And when I saw that, I was just in shock. And I thought immediately that Trump would say, "No, that's ridiculous." But Trump said, "I think it's an incredible offer." And it took 4 days to walk that back. And it was only when the Senate was about to vote, and they ended up voting 98-0 not to do that, that Trump walked it back. 4 days.
Who got to him, Bill? Who got in the president's ear and said, whoa, 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 we're not doing this?
Well, I think that they looked at and they said, this is going to look ridiculous if the Senate has voted unanimously not to hand Bill Browder, and there was 11 other people, Americans on this list. He didn't want to look that ridiculous. And it was in the middle of the Mueller investigation. So this was an investigation about collusion with Russia, and Trump was going to hand over, the biggest anti-Putin guy. It would have looked pretty terrible. I'll say one thing, though, which is that if Trump was reelected, I wouldn't have felt safe coming into America.
So before we let you go, I'm just curious how you think this ends. You understand Vladimir Putin very well. You've just described a man with 2 feet now in the criminal world. There's no pretense anymore that he wants to be accepted into the world community. How could he come back from all these scenes we've witnessed here, right? He can't. So what does that mean exactly? Where does this go?
Well, everybody always asks me, what's the end game? And the end game is for Vladimir Putin, through whatever means he can, to stay in power. He cannot he cannot not be at this war. And so there's only escalation. There's no compromise. There's no peace treaties. He might do peace treaties as a tactic, but he's not going to do it in any real way. And so the most likely end game is that this thing doesn't end. This thing carries on and on and on. And those terrible images and those terrible stories are repeated over and over and over again.
We so appreciate you being here. It's taken great courage to continue to speak out the way you have for a dozen years, and we appreciate you being here. The new book is Freezing Order, a true story of money laundering, murder, and surviving Vladimir Putin.